Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sprout Chat. Awesome. Thanks for joining us today. I'm your host, Joe Huber, and I have with me Olivia. Our goal for Sprout Chat is to bring our industry together and arm you with insights to deepen your strategy and gain a new perspective on topics that are truly relevant to your brand's bottom line. Today's topic is building a strong brand, and I hope you can take away some actionable tips on how to apply these best practices to your social strategy, as well as inspiration for ways to grow. First, I want to introduce myself and my co-host, Olivia.
Hi, everyone.
And I'm Joe Huber. I'm the customer community strategist here at Sprout Social. And I've been working in social since I was in college and have done social media management for companies from brand management to customer success to customer support.
And I'm Olivia Jepson. I'm the social media specialist at Sprout. I was a Sprout agency partner and managed social and content creation for a number of hospitality brands before joining the team.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. Introductions are traditions, and traditions are important. And a tradition of Sprout Chat is an icebreaker. Now, we've decided to go with, what's your favorite concert that you've ever attended? You first, Olivia.
I refuse to choose between Taylor Swift's Reputation Stadium Tour and Stevie Nicks' 24 Karat Gold Tour.
I will allow it. 2 concerts is allowed.
They're worth it. What is your favorite, Joe?
I'm going to go probably Shovels and Rope at Temperance Brewery in Evanston, Illinois. Probably my favorite because they played my favorite song, and it was an outdoor venue, and it started raining, and it was awesome. Okay, now that we've gotten through that, we will jump into the content in just a moment, but first, Olivia and I will cover a few housekeeping items.
So Sprout Chat will be recorded and shared to a playlist on our YouTube page. So if you have to step out or want to share this later on, you can access the recording immediately following the presentation. We also haven't abandoned the Twitter chat that started it all. So we encourage you to engage with us there and use the hashtag SproutChat to ask questions, share your favorite bits of content, or simply follow along the conversation there. I'll also be sharing some tweets and YouTube comments throughout the broadcast, but for now, I'll be over on Sprout's handle replying to all of you.
So that's where she's going, and we'll see you soon, Olivia. Our very own social media manager, Rachel Samuels, is also going to be involved on Twitter. Feel free to add her to your conversations using the @RachelSamuels hashtag. It's RACHAEL Samuels. Lastly, while this session is only 20 minutes long, our speaker has agreed to stick around for 10 minutes following their presentation to answer any questions. To ask questions directly, please use the chat panel to the right of your YouTube screen, and Olivia is watching there as well. You can ask questions throughout the presentation, and we'll make sure to try and get them during the Q&A session at the end. If we don't get to your question during the YouTube Live, head over to Twitter to sound off and jump in the conversation after. The last thing that I wanted to let you all know about is our Facebook group, which is appropriately named #SproutChat. Feel free to jump in there in between our Sprout Chat discussions. Now, let's get this chat started, and allow me to pass it over to Leanne LaFerge of March of Dimes to introduce herself.
Hi, everybody, and thanks so much to Sprout for having me today. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm Leanne LaFerge, and I'm the social media team lead here at March of Dimes. I've been with the organization for almost 18 and a half years, so I've spent the majority of my career here at this wonderful organization, which fights for the health of all moms and babies. The majority of my career, I was the state director of communications in Connecticut. I work out of my home office here just north of Hartford, and it is bright and sunny today. I see it is in Chicago too, and I hope it is wherever you are, but thanks for having me. I hope you'll pop over to March of Dimes sometime and check us out if you're not familiar with the organization, but really excited to share with you today.
Awesome. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you again for coming on. Now, before we jump into the questions, we have to go back to the icebreaker because I can't let you off the hook. Leanne, what's your favorite concert that you've ever attended?
Wow. Okay. So my favorite concert is probably a series of concerts, but the same band. My family, we're huge Bon Jovi fans. So I've seen them anywhere from 80,000 people stadium tour to smaller venues. But my favorite was last year. We always said our kids' first concert would be Bon Jovi. They are now 9 and 12, and we delivered on that promise about 6 or 7 months ago, and it was awesome and a super good time. So hopefully that was a good parenting win for a cool first concert for our kids. So
I now get to be the judge of parenting wins, apparently. And yes, that is a
awesome.
Parenting win.
Thank you.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thanks so much again for coming on. We're going to jump into some questions. How's that sound?
Absolutely. Ready to go.
Yeah. Again, to all of our viewers, as I ask questions to Leanne, feel free to chime in on the YouTube chat. Olivia's checking those things out. We'll hear from you along the way as well. Let's take a look. First question. All right. What has been the key to building your brand perception?
So there's a couple of things that we really try to hone in on. One is really using data and listening tools to help inform our story. So we've made some investment in those areas, and Sprout actually has been super helpful in this area to us. So really, we always kind of say data tells a story, and it helps us zone in on, who's following us, what are they engaging with, and where. What is our community talking about, so that we can hopefully zero in on some strategies that help work best for kind of where they are. And then I would say the second one that we do, and I hopefully we do it fairly well, is what we kind of refer to as authentic engagement. So really, talking with our audience, listening to our audience, taking the time to comment to them, asking meaningful questions back, saying thank you, being transparent. If we're asked a hard question, giving the answers back, engaging our leadership. We have a very active president and CEO online. She's at March of Dimes Prez, PRZ, if you ever want to follow her handle. She's fantastic on social. So really adding another depth and layer to our social strategy by having leadership involved and answering. And while that takes a lot of time, I think any of us in social media know that engagement is where it's at, because we really want to, it's not just about putting our own information out there, but we really want to understand what people want to hear and bridge and help make a community for them too.
I love it. And it goes to a lot of the things that I know we talk about internally as well, and bridging those connections. I love it. This is fantastic. Yeah. Let's jump into our second question. All right. How do you increase share of voice using social?
Yeah, I think this is a big question for any organization, big or small, right? So depending on your goals, the fight for share of voice is getting more and more difficult, with organic reach decreasing, and there's just so much content being shared on a daily basis. So how do you not only get your content out there, but if there are specific topics that are being talked about out in the Twitterverse or in the social media universe, how do you know that what you're putting out there is moving the needle? So again, being able to really kind of zone in on your tactics and figure out if your share of voice, and this is something that we implemented over the fall when we did a new campaign, but really, again, that engagement strategy, sharing often and consistently. So I would say more isn't necessarily more if the content isn't being engaged with, or if it's highly promotional. It's really what we would call kind of that share worthy in our nonprofit world, that showcasing that mission impact, the support that people are giving us. How is that truly making a difference? Again, listening. So what are trending topics? What are people talking about? Following our peer organizations and looking at like, hey, what are they putting out? What's working for them? What might not be working for them? What kind of lessons learned in the nonprofit and charity space that we may be able to learn from? And then a lot of time, obviously using really strong hashtags, thinking about those strategies, and following those ones that make sense for your organization. So you again get some ideas of what people are talking about. And like I said, we use some of those strategies. We launched a campaign in the fall called #BlanketChange, and it was really around the midterm elections to bring attention to issues around maternal health, specifically around the rising rates of maternal mortality and pregnancy complications in the United States that a lot of people might not even realize. And we really wanted people to take action. So it was kind of the CTA of getting people to know about these issues, but then how could we drive change by getting people to talk about these issues in their own communities and then contact their legislators to say, this is real and needs attention, and what kinds of things can we do? And then looking at that share of voice and conversation, when we looked at something like maternal mortality, pregnancy, did that conversation change when we entered that space with that campaign? And we were able to show that it did, which was really fantastic. So we could use those learnings to pivot in real time when we needed to. So if we were saying, oh, we want everybody to tweet at their legislators, but people were really taking to social sharing instead, we could then build tools to that and say, okay, let's make sure we're giving the people what they want rather than just assuming everybody's going to do what we want them to do. So it was a really great, case study for us moving forward with future campaigns.
That's fantastic. And this is like, you're not only giving strategic tips, you're also giving people a lot of actionable tips. So this is fantastic.
Oh, great.
I know while we're here, I think Olivia has a couple insights to share with us. So I'm going to let her share a little bit more from what we're getting on the chats.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we have a few answers to question 1. The first one is from Audrey Willis, and she said, being transparent and engaging with your audience is the most important tactic for building a great perception for your brand. Gordon also said, ensuring that all of his activities and content reflect the brand. Mm-hmm. And Bentley University said that the key to building brand perception is consistency, authenticity, and transparency. Yeah. So really in line with what Leanne was saying.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I love that. That's fantastic. I love those insights.
Yep.
Olivia is going to be back on Twitter and YouTube again. She's going to come in and share more insights with us as we move along. We're going to move on to question 3, which, again, another big question, and that's, do brands have the power to connect people?
Yes, the answer is yes, absolutely. And that's really at the heart of our commitment as a nonprofit organization. So whether it be in person at something like a March for Babies event, which our Big Walk weekend is coming up this weekend and next weekend, so little plug, but that's an opportunity for people to come together in real time and connect with one another, but also digitally. Brands really have the opportunity to transcend, I think, traditional marketing, or even the way we tended to think as social media has evolved over the years. It was really this fantastic, suddenly businesses and customers, or businesses and followers, had this ability to have two-way conversation. And now it's the ability to how are we as the organization a facilitator of community? So it's not just communication between ourselves, March of Dimes, and the people who are following us, but the people who are following. So, mom to mom, peer to peer, that's an awesome thing to see happening online. So how can we meet people where they are and service them in ways that work best for them? So is that one-on-one? Is it in an online group? Is it on a web page? Is it on your pages, on Instagram? So figuring out kind of what works best for whatever goals your organization has. But yeah, the power to connect is something that we're really all about.
Those are impactful, powerful goals, not only for the company, but like you said too, for your brand and for how you're reaching people, and it should align with that mission. So this is this is kind of exactly this is what we talk. I love hearing this stuff. We're going to move into question 4, and question 4 is: have brands made connections with you on social?
Absolutely. I was going to say my cheat answer was going to be Sprout, but I felt like that was going to be like way too obvious. But you guys have been fantastic, obviously, from working with you guys, but even just on social, I follow the Sprout chats and some of the other things that you guys do, and from engagement and tips. But personally, kind of connecting, I've recently been doing some traveling, and we all know, I think we've probably all reached out to airlines at one time or another on social, maybe not, for better or worse. And I've had actually really good positive interactions, like not even reaching out to them because, oh, you lost my luggage. Or so two that I travel with a lot are Southwest and JetBlue. I appreciate their social media in general, but when I've had personal interactions with them, they've been personal back. So as somebody who sits on this side of the social media table, I always kind of think about the human beings on the other end of that interaction. So maybe I think about it differently, but when they take the time to, again, kind of have the authentic engagement, anytime I've posted, they've been super timely. They've reached out to me about UGC that maybe I posted, or they've answered my question, even something as simple as like using somebody's name. It's not necessarily coming through a traditional bot. I can think of, I traveled last year during the royal wedding and we were all in airports, like looking at the screen of Harry and Meghan. And I tweeted at JetBlue about like, hey, what are you guys doing to like, am I getting a tiara on the flight today? And literally within 30 seconds, they were tweeting back at me about, oh my gosh, we're going to treat you like royalty. We all need tiara. Like it was really fun. So that was an authentic little engagement that kind of made my morning as I was getting on the flight, because it was, again, about those human beings on the other end, but showed their ability to react kind of in real time and trending topics. So that was pretty cool.
I love that for two reasons. One is because I was a waiter. I worked in customer support, so always thinking about that other person on the other end is so important and valuable. But then too, it's important for us as social media professionals to think about the person on the other end of our social media messages. So it's really good, and it's really valuable to kind of think about that.
Yeah.
In both sense.
Yeah, you never know how just reaching back out to somebody is going to impact their day. I mean, we see that all the time with people who are perhaps raising money for our organization, or they're sharing their story, and just being able to write back to them, again, authentic, or ask questions about if their baby's in the NICU. How is your baby doing? How are you doing, mom? Like, has anybody talked to you? Like, and having those conversations back and forth. We'll take it offline a lot into DM space. And they'll just reach back, even just saying like, thank you so much. We didn't expect somebody from your organization to respond. And that always makes us feel really good. But and it's always, it's meaningful to us too. So it's kind of that full circle for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about making connections. And speaking of connections, we've got some more insights from Olivia here. She's going to talk to us about what's going on the chat on Twitter and on YouTube.
So we have some answers to Q2 still rolling in. Franco PR Group said that one way that they increase their share of voice through social is by making sure that they have a clear message that's developed consistently and making sure that they optimize that across their different channels that they're using. Tamara also answered question 2 and said that engaging with others in their content is important, not just to jump in and pump out posts, and make sure that you're acknowledging what others are doing. Listen and engage. And then question 3, John Vennon answered, brands are able to connect people as they represent a common interest that they believe in. Spot on.
Thanks so much. Yeah, these are great. First of all, thanks to everybody again. We're going to thank you at the end, of course. But I want to thank everybody right now. I just love it. I'm very full of gratitude right now that everybody's interacting, and I want to thank Leanne again. This is great. All right, let's move into question 5. Okay. What is a brand you can't stop thinking about right now?
I had to think about this one a little bit, and I have a little bit of an obscure answer, I guess, but because it's a small brand that a lot of people probably have never even heard of, but they've made an impact on me. It's called Potcake Place Canine Rescue, and they are out of Turks and Caicos in the Caribbean, which I know people are like, what the heck? But I've traveled to the island a couple times and actually have visited their rescue in person. So small island in the Caribbean. They have, I think, really great social media. Check them out. I think on Instagram, they have over 22,000 followers. Like, they are doing something right for a small canine dog rescue organization. But you can clearly tell, just by visiting their feed, if you didn't even open a post, you can know their story, which I always appreciate. It's not kind of like, oh, I'm here, I'm not quite sure. Even if you didn't know the name, great use of UGC, really nice engagement. They just tell their story really well. And I've had the pleasure of interacting with their staff in person. They're totally volunteer run. So the fact that they do social media really well on top of the hard jobs that they do on a small island with probably very little resources, they've really done a great job. So I started following them, and their posts just make me happy. I get to look at cute babies during the day, and then on my off time, when you see cute puppies, always a win. And then another brand I always really like, I'm a huge HGTV fixer-upper fan. So I like Magnolia. I think, again, they've kind of cornered the market on social, but also, I like their magazine. I like the physical magazine in my hand, but then I can go online and look at some of their videos and things like that. So again, kind of moving from that traditional media piece to digital, I think they do a really great job.
Awesome. I love it. I love mixing future and past.
Yeah.
Great. We're going to jump into the 6th question here.
Yeah.
And let's take a look. What will you implement this year to build a stronger brand?
Yeah, so we have really dedicated, we kind of have a theme line in our social group, in our digital group right now is 2019 is the year of data. So really committing to making data the heart of our content decisions. So I think on a day-to-day basis, with everything that needs to be done in social, data analytics can kind of easily be overlooked, or it's something that, you can peel the onion back a little bit. But if you really take the time to dive in, again, I said at the beginning, data can tell a story. So we're making it a point to really have that at the table in all of our meetings. So, again, we're hopefully, if we need to pivot in real time, we can do that and have some real life learnings. We're going to be launching a new Facebook group in like the next 24 hours. So sneak peek, which we're very excited about. So again, kind of bringing community, meeting people where they are. We're very excited about that. So stay tuned for that. Really commitment to UGC. We have fantastic followers who are sharing such meaningful personal stories. And they love when we share too. So that we're, again, to be able to showcase to our followers the real stories and the real people who are following and making, that mission, they're making this mission impact possible on a daily basis. It's our pleasure to be able to do that. And then we've also launched this year, just in the past couple of weeks, a new community space called #Unspoken Stories. Hopefully you're starting to see it. Really a supportive community that's really giving voice to everybody's experience. So whether it's the joys and humor in parenting, to loss, to new motherhood, new fatherhood, really kind of encouraging people to share those maybe not so shared stories all the time. So, and really bringing that community together. So whether it be, we have a website that just launched on Monday, unspokenstories.org, please visit, to using the hashtag online. Again, it's really, and the Facebook group that's coming. So really meeting people where they are, encouraging however they want to share in the way that they want to share it. It's a purposely kind of unbranded hashtag too, so that it belongs, it's inclusive of everybody. So we really wanted to feel that way. Blanket Change was the same way, that it was even beyond March of Dimes. We just want those conversations happening, and hopefully we can be a facilitator of community that way. So those are kind of the big things that we're committed to this year, is really obviously data engagement, getting our users involved, and facilitating community.
When we had our prep call, I remember hearing everything and thinking, I don't know how she gets anything done, let alone all of this. So thank you so much for your insights. We've got one last visit on our insights from Olivia, real quick.
Yeah, we still have some question 3 answers rolling in. Franco PR Group said, well, to refresh, question 3 was, do brands have the power to connect people? And Franco PR Group said, only if the brand corresponds with something specific that will inspire people to take action beyond consumption.
I love that.
Enough said.
Yeah, that's really powerful. So again, thank you, Leanne, again for coming on. We appreciate all of your insights and your answers. You're all welcome to stick around. We're going to talk to Leanne for a Q&A until about 2:30. And afterwards, we'll all hop onto Twitter to finish the rest of the chat there. So remember, you will be able to access the recording of this session following the completion of the Q&A. So Olivia, I'm going to leave it up to you for some questions that have rolled through, maybe for Leanne.
Let's look into the YouTube chat.
And no worries again. We know we'll run up to about 2:30, but we met in a little early as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a reminder for the 32 of you still watching, we are still here answering questions. So if you have any, drop them in the chat.
Yeah. While we're doing this, Leanne, what's the thing that you think for the next year? What do you think is the next big thing around brands building connections?
Wow, that's a big question. I think kind of going back to that share of voice, I think we're all kind of having to rethink strategy as algorithms change, and just, the way, 2 years ago, my data looked really different. And that can be scary because like you look at numbers and go, gosh, are we not doing the right thing? Or what are we? It doesn't necessarily mean that. Again, it's kind of like peeling that onion back a little bit, like I said before. So really, I think brands will be looking at their data really carefully. I think user-generated content is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, in terms of, kind of, I'll use quotes, influencer, like the influencer space. The real life people that are a part of you and what you're doing every day is truly meaningful. So I think UGC is great for where it makes sense for your organization and again, your goals. I think, I think always just kind of going back to goal, like what are you aiming to do? Social is so broad and can be so many things to so many different people. And being able to kind of set yourself up for success from the get-go, whether you're starting a campaign or whether it's kind of your day-to-day content strategy, is thinking about, what are we aiming to achieve here? Is it engagement? Is it page growth? And it can be a number of things, but are the things you're doing helping you achieve those things? So that you have some measurability against it.
Yeah, data is king.
Yeah.
We do have a question from Twitter. You mentioned that you were using bots, so how are you using them?
Aha. So we just implemented a customer service bot just in the last couple of months, actually, through, we utilize Sprout Social, so they've been super helpful. And we have found it to be really useful in terms of, like I mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, we get a lot of very similar questions, specific times of year. So specifically around March for Babies, which is the big walk event we do. So people asking about t-shirts and those kinds of things. So helping kind of streamline that conversation a little bit so that if somebody's reaching out to us in an inbox or in a tweet, our bot can get back to them. They always have the ability to reach a human being. So that was super important to us when we were building the bot, was how can we quickly take this offline and always have the ability to engage with people when and if we need to and when we want to. And we have been able to do that people are very quick, that if they don't quickly find what they need, that they're, hey, hit us up to talk to an actual human and we can take care of your question. So that's been something newly implemented. And we were just kind of looking at some data around that today. How is it performing? What are the things that people are really coming to us for? Is it working? So yeah, I'm excited to kind of dive into that a little bit more because that's something new for our space too.
Absolutely, yeah. And the transparency between bots and humans, I know that's a big thing for a lot.
Yeah.
So that's a great.
Yeah. Yeah. We're very, like, the first interaction with the bot is very clear. Like you are interacting with a bot, right? Like, but if you need us at any time, we're here, we're here for you. And here's when we're online and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's a great point about being transparent about who you're interacting with and when your human team might be available. You might not be, airlines are available 24/7. Other people are not, other organizations are not. So being realistic about when people can expect to hear back from you too. I think people always appreciate that as well.
Extremely true, extremely valuable information. Thank you again. I know that we're running close to time here. So on behalf of Sprout, I wanted to thank Leanne again. Leanne, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. This has been so fun. And Joe, you mentioned you don't know how I do it all. We are a mighty, our social media team here is 3 people. And so we are a small but mighty team. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to the amazing people that work here. We have a great digital team and a great marketing team, fantastic organization. So thanks for helping us tell a little bit of our story today. It's been great.
Absolutely. Feel free to shout your 2 teammates out by name.
My teammates, hey, Jeff, hey, Laura, and hey, Amy, and Tony, and everybody else that I'm not mentioning behind the scenes, but they're fantastic. And I know that they're going to be tuning in. So thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right. Thanks again to everybody for watching as well. Keep your eyes peeled. We're going to be back next month on May 22nd. That's my dad's birthday. Feel free to continue the conversation on social media using #SproutChat.
And from all of us here at Sprout, have a great rest of your week.
See you on Twitter and see you next month.